My attention goes there as opposed to here and here, as soon as you hear the chirp.
So I read that Dave Filoni had named the child in The Mandalorian Grogu from the beginning, but it was kept a secret from the cast. And when it was revealed, George Lucas didn't like it. So I'm wondering, so if you were able to rename Grogu, what name would you give him?
Oh my goodness. Oh boy, beautiful little sweet-eyed, big-eared bastard. I go right to my character, you know, I'm so jealous of the child. When I first saw, and it was the child, you know, all along, and you're giving me information I didn't know. I didn't know that Filoni had named the child Grogu, and then it became Baby Yoda, but on the set it was the child.
Yes.
And I was walking with Jon Favreau, and he was, my first day there, and he said, would you like to, you know, meet the child? As we walked behind this table, and he whipped off this canvas, and there was the child, and I went, wow, it was really beautiful, had beautiful eyes and all this. Then the puppeteer came over and started moving its eyes, and I went to Jon Favreau, who was standing there waiting for my reaction, and I said, John, that's the star of the show. And he said, really? You know, you never know when you're working on something. Even those guys are like, they're like big kids who create, which is how we all should be in our creation of our lives from every single day. They wake up unjaded, thinking about ideas to make a great story. If you have a great story and you have really strong characters, then everything falls into place. And he scratched his head and he looked, he said, you think so? I said, I know so. I know it, there's no doubt about it. So, you know, savior, savvy baby, you know? I mean, that is, look, we live in a world of storytelling, right? And we're here because we're honoring movies and TV that tell great stories. The mythological connection in stories relates to the deepest part of our sensibilities and who we are, because it allows us to relate to that hero's journey. Right? So George Lucas was connected with, you know, Joseph Campbell's work, who was a great mythologist. And those stories, those mythological stories, allow us strength, right? They allow us to go and see the hero's journey or the heroine's journey. And that journey can be for us too. It can be our outcome if we only think it, live it, feel it, and practice it. Everything comes through practice. If your head is screwed up, then yeah, get a therapist, get a friend, get someone to talk to, but more than anything, learn to control your mind so you can use your mind, which is a computer that doesn't want to turn off, just like your iPhone or your computer. You can turn it off with meditation and turn it back on with creation, right? Because your mind is what controls your thoughts. Your thoughts control through bringing to fruition what your dreams are. Because if you think it every day, it goes into the universe hears it. Equally so, if you have dreams and hopes and things you want to do, write it down. Don't tap it out, write it down. Write it down on a piece of paper, look at it every day, speak it. Right? We're auditory people, we're tactile people. When you're told something, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. When someone tells you something about someone else, you believe it. You don't ask yourself, well, maybe they're not telling the truth, maybe they don't know, maybe they don't have all the facts. We don't ask ourselves that. We go right to, oh my gosh, he said he was an axe murderer, oh shoot. Oh my, maybe I shouldn't let him in my house, oh my God. But he seems like a really nice guy, oh my God. Right? We go to all that. Instead of thinking for ourselves, use your mind for the goodness of your life. Because what you put in your brain and how you think about it and how you practice that and how you envision where you're going to be, not next year, 5 years, 10 years from now, comes true. Because we have lost the ability to connect with the power that we have as human beings. When you say something to someone, you're beautiful, you look beautiful, it's not just how you look, your inside is beautiful, your light is glowing, you look fantastic, you put yourself together well, you did those numbers well, my goodness, you have great potential, I can see where you're going to go. That uplifts the thought form in each and every one of us. And when that happens, we all rise together. You're welcome.
So Savior it is.
Savior, baby.
Go ahead, over here. Hello, Giancarlo. My name is Marcelo. Super big fan.
Hey, Marcelo.
Hey, thank you so much for already bestowing a lot of wisdom upon us. All of the questions have been amazing. I wanted to ask you about the Professor X role and also about, making good guy roles as well. But, I changed my question now. I want to ask you something more chill, related to a trip you took last summer to Ecuador in Latin America. You remember that trip?
I sure do.
That's amazing. That's my home country, and you specifically went to the city of Guayaquil, which is my hometown. And, I wanted to ask, what was your favorite thing there? What were your key takeaways? Maybe favorite restaurant? Anything?
My favorite thing was Iguana Park.
Yes.
Iguana Park was amazing. Yeah, there was something very, very, I have to say, these iguanas are huge, and there was something really, what's the word I want to use? They felt like they were from antiquity. From another time.
They look like small dinosaurs, yeah.
They look like small dinosaurs, and it was beautiful in that part of the town because it was also raised up on a hill overlooking the ocean. I find your country to be beautiful. I really enjoyed the people there. I'm really hoping they have a chance to close their doors to the cartels that are moving in there and ruining people's lives and taking over their ability to be at peace and feel free. But I love Ecuador, and Guayaquil was a fantastic experience.
Gracias, maestro.
De nada.
Go ahead over here.
Good afternoon. So, obviously, as we can all quite easily tell, every time you're on stage or doing press conferences, whatever, you're, as yourself, a very honest, genuine, good person. So I was wondering, what sort of drew you into that tendency to play villainous roles, and how do you kind of insert some of your genuineness into the role with, like, kind of the veiled kindness of some of your villainous characters?
The what kind? The what? Say again?
Veiled kindness in some of your villainous characters with, like, Gus and...
The truth of the matter is I'm really an asshole. It's just that simple. I have 4 daughters, I get out of line, and excuse my language for the young people in the audience, but again, to go back to a previous answer that I incorporated this into, I look deeper and deeper into myself, and I can be a scary human being. Like, I have been, and I could continue to be if I chose to be. And scary human beings come about because they're not able to let go of their ego. Like, I want to control everything, but I'm not able to. I realize that now, but it took me years to be able to say that. So to look beyond the veil of who I really am, there's something in there that is use for me, right? I went to military school. I grew up poor. I went to a military school. I was going to become a priest. I was an altar boy, was going to become a priest, was going to become an archaeologist. The priest thing, that really gives you a clue, right? I was either going to help people or I was going to kill people. There's going to be one or the other. It's that simple. And I chose to help people here and kill people on film. That's it. I love it.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead over here.
Hello, I'm Charlene.
Hi, Charlene.
Hi. And I was a big fan of Breaking Bad. And I really enjoyed the scene where Hector outwitted you, and I wanted to know just kind of how you felt about that. And as well, I love when you walk out of the room and like do the tie adjustment before you die. And I wondered if you had any like creative input in that, or just kind of your general feelings about the scene.
I love that scene. Hector and Walter did me a good turn there, and I think it was all, I think there was a symbiotic relationship between them. The scene was very special because I really adored Mark Margolis. I worked with him in a play 40 years ago. I've knew him for 40, 45 years, and then spoke at his funeral when he died about 6 months ago, so a very difficult moment in time for me because that was all very sudden. I did have input into that scene somewhere around episode 401 after Box Cutter. I didn't come back to 403. And Vince called me into his office and said, the regular speech, the town's not big enough for both of you, and one of you has to go. And I've told this story before, it's online. He got up to close his office door, and I said, oh, no, Vince, don't close the door. And he went, oh, okay. And then he got back to Vince, I said to you, do not close the door. And he got a little more uncomfortable in his seat. He said, well, I just wanted to talk about it. I said, I know what you want to talk about. And I said, I will close the door, right? And I Gus Fringed him completely, and he absolutely sat there a little bit terrified. Like a little bit like, what is he going to say to me, you know? And he asked me what might happen if this happened, and he gave me scenarios, and eventually in the end, he said, what would happen if there was an explosion? And I said, well, you know, look, when I stand up, I'm very proper. I usually button my jacket up. When I sit back down, I open it up again to allow me room to sit. And then I straighten my tie often because I'm very aware that your tie will slip if you're wearing a shirt and tie. And he went, oh! And so I did have input into that. He really loved that. And I didn't know what he would eventually write. And on the day leading up to it, it was all blacked out because of security. He didn't want anyone to know, not even me. And then finally, a few hours before, that would be the move. And I was very proud to be a contributor. Great writers, great producers, great actors, great human beings allow collaboration. If you think you know it all, well, guess what? You don't. And if you think you know it all, you've closed your mind, as I was closed when I was a teenager, to listening to everything my parents said, because, you know, you could hear some of it was BS, right? Just like you could hear some of your own BS. And when you can hear your own BS, you stop BSing. If you're an honest, truthful, organically sound person. If you're not, then you're stuck in some psychology that you need to work through. So it was wonderful. My point is, he's a great collaborator, and great collaborators get somewhere. They don't think it's all their idea. People who often claim your ideas, you have to notice that about other people. Not to judge them, but to understand how that relates to you. Why does something bother you about something else? Maybe it's because that it's mirrored for something that you the same way that you are. And I started to notice that. And so I become a better collaborator in my life when I'm listening to other people who give me advice or who are critical. Now, we take criticism a certain way, but what if it's the way we speak to each other. It's the way we suggest. How do we speak? Words are really important. They're strong. And if you can use your words very specifically in a graceful, compassionate, and loving way, when you don't mean to hurt someone, but you mean to help them, very different than the way I grew up in my childhood, criticized and told, and even as a young actor, you'll never make it, all these things like that. That's not very, that just gave me the fight to prove someone wrong, but you gotta lose that fight, because the fight and struggle is with yourself. The fight and struggle was always here. So now, I listen. Oh, that's a suggestion. And when you have children, sometimes you can listen to them or you can make them your enemy and say, do what I tell you to do. My mother used to say to me, do as I say do, not as I do. Right? So what I'm learning is that in that particular scene, which was really wonderful and honored me, you honor someone when you say, this is between us, and that was a great suggestion. Isn't that, you feel that energy? That was really a great question. Thank you for asking me that. It empowered me in the moment to know that I was a collaborator, that something I suggested, which was straightening the tie, really became an iconic moment in a show that wasn't all about me, but it was about a collaboration between me and Vince. He wrote the show, but he allowed me to contribute. Doesn't that feel good? And don't we want to feel that in our lives? So remember this. Remember to allow people to feel good, to allow them to know that their ideas mean something, that their question changed my life, that their suggestion changed the root of the way I think and allowed me to move from one place to another and decide and be courageous and supported my decision and challenged me. Your friends who tell you all the time that that's great and this is great and you're great and you're great, that's not always the truth. Your friends that say, you know, that was really pretty good, but there are a couple of things you could have fixed. Or your friends that say, you know, what you said to me hurt my feelings, challenges you to be a better human being. And that's what you want to be for each other. That's what you want to be for your children. And that is most certainly what you want to be for the world.
But I'll be giving the warning that we only have time for 2 more question.
Gotta go fast, we'll get more in.
Okay, right over here.
Hi, my name's Nick. I've been a fan of your work since Maze Runner, and I've always loved you in The Mandalorian. My question was mostly answered by your previous response. So, as a wannabe screenwriter myself, what was a line that you have said as a character that stood out to you and is memorable to you as an actor?
The line from Breaking Bad would be, "A man provides." I've felt in my life I've had to provide something for my family of origin and then for the family that I chose to create and make. I've been bankrupt twice. I've lost houses and cars and been through divorce and kept my family together somehow because that is what is important to me. So that line really is important to me, "A man provides." You know, whether that whole speech that Gus gives, I think, is really an important one that linked up to my own passion. And then I have a new show called Parish on AMC that comes out March 31st. It's really close to my heart. It's about an everyman who loses, he's lost a child, he has a past that you don't know about, he has an uncertain future, and he's losing his family. Sound like my story? A little bit. I was able to infuse some of my personal passion and story into this particular show. And if you look at the trailer, Gracie in Parish says, "I'm tired of being a passenger in my own life." And so that is an important line for me. You haven't seen it yet, you will see it. I've had really iconic lines to say in my career. You as a screenwriter, my advice is to write everything, read everything, and start with your own story. Your own story, whether you know it or not, we want to know what that is. And if you're able to put words behind it and put it into play, people will be interested because we're interested in each other as human beings. Although I don't know you, I know that your story is probably strong, and just keep going.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name's Lucy. I just wanted to say, first of all, that you're an amazing inspiration. The things you are saying right now are so lifting, like, I love you. But I was just wondering what it was like on the set of Breaking Bad and how it was, like, behind the scenes and, like, with all the other actors and, like, if it was just, like, a great place to be, because this show is so great. Like, I love it.
It's when you're a part of something that you know that there's an electricity to, it changes the energy of things. You know, when you're in a room and someone is speaking and you're attracted to what their words that they're saying, even if their words aren't put together in the right way, but there's something about the magnetism they have, they're not posturing, they're organically truthful and telling something honest, then you know you're in the right place. You should have this feeling. You should yearn to be around that feeling. It's not always, I'm not always confident. Very few times I'm really confident. I'm awkward and uncomfortable, a little awkward a lot of the time. You see the suave, cool moments, but that's not who I am always. We're flowing through many different incarnations as human beings. Breaking Bad was a feeling of being in the right place at the right time with great writers, great technicians, and really committed people to the story. And so we didn't predict that we were doing something that was going to change the face of television. We were the little engine that nobody was really watching, you know? So it didn't really matter. We were doing our passion, and everyone was behind the captain of the ship. If you are asked to be a leader, you cannot lead unless you can follow. So if you have to boil rice and chop wood for 5 years, learn how to be a soldier, learn how to follow, learn how to take orders, learn how to do that. Because then you'll be asked one day to stand up and lead in your families, to lead in your lives, to lead at your job. And when you're asked that question, you can't lead from here in your ego. You can't lead from your mind. You gotta lead from your heart and your gut. You gotta lead for all of us. Because we are all in each other. We've gotten away from the principle that my life, when my boat rises, so does yours. That my feelings are the same as yours, maybe different in certain circumstances and situations. Life is a play of consciousness. It is a play of consciousness, so much so that it's a dream that you dream. You get it? So when you start to dream the right dream and put yourself in the right place with the right people, with the right creators, with the right people who are expanding your thought form, challenging your heart, challenging you to be better, challenging you to stand up and to lead, then your life changes. Because then you feel like I felt on the set of Breaking Bad, that you're in the right place at the right time. You start small. I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to play a stereotypical villain. I wanted to play a character that appeared to be one thing but was another, but had an idea, and he thought his idea would work. Moff Gideon, playing a character who is an anti-hero. What is an anti-hero? An anti-hero is a fallen hero who thinks his ideas are good. Listen to my idea. Listen to my idea. Oh no, I'm not going to listen to your idea because your idea is not good. Well, I think it's good. Boom! I'm going to shoot you. Right? That becomes the anti-hero. He thinks he's doing something for all people because somewhere inside of him and somewhere inside of me, I think that people need to be told. Well, I'm here to wake you up. So tell me you don't want to be told. You can tell yourself. Right? We are being told right now. We live in Canada. I love your country. It's a little more flavorful and graceful than the one I live in. But still, the world is in a place where we're being told what to do so that we can be controlled. Right? I mean, if you have people who think for themselves and not thinking for the greater good and the divine consciousness of God and Goddess, then you have to worry that I need to control all of you, right? So that you can do what I want you to do, mainly consume and buy and buy and buy and spend your money and lose your soul. What we want to do is to be able to have our own mind because we were given free will. So you have a free will, and I encourage your free will to allow you to become more compassionate, more loving, more giving, more whole, and more complete. Because whether you know it or not, in my eyes, I see you. I see you. And in your eyes, you see me. And if we can see each other clearly, we can change this world together for the better, and we can do it right now.